swallowing up most of South Carolina. Right now, Florence is a Cat 2 storm with maximum winds of up to 100 miles an hour. In terms of its overall reach, you have to understand that it's huge. Just the cloud cover of this hurricane already spans the entire length of both Carolinas and then some. And thus far, it's moving along its path really slowly, which means the storm is expected to dump a deluge of rain over the Carolinas as it very slowly churns its way inland. Because it's expected to basically sit over the region through the weekend, some areas, as we mentioned last night, could get hit with 40 inches of rain by the time the storm has cleared out. National Hurricane Center says all that rain, the flooding and the storm surge that will come, it could be catastrophic. Right now, storm surge warning is in effect from the South Santee River in South Carolina up to Duck, North Carolina, in the northern corner of the state. Biggest storm surge we're told to expect in southeast North Carolina. Forecasters say the water from the storm surge could rise as high as 11 feet in those areas. The worst, of course, will be at high tide, which will happen between 11 p.m. and midnight tonight. If you're having a hard time imagining what that's like and how serious that is, I have to tell you, the Weather Channel deserves a shout out for having done something super, super helpful. The best thing I've ever seen about how to visualize, how to imagine what you are in for if you are seeing these kinds of forecasts for the storm surge. Just watch this.
What does that look like when you're actually on the ground? Well, consider, as this is happening, it's being driven by the wind. So, of course, there's a tremendous amount of wind. This is not still water. This is water that is moving. It's got a lot of flow. It's got a lot of power. And by the time it gets to 2 to 3 feet high, that's enough to float a vehicle. So you've got no chance of escaping by vehicle at that point. We bring it up to 6 feet, and we're looking for large areas where there's going to be storm surge flooding of 6 feet in eastern parts of North Carolina. When it gets to that level, it is life-threatening. You've got no chance of being able to survive that. If you're out in that level of flooding, your pets have no chance of being able to survive that. And then we bring it up to 9 feet high. Take a look at this. This is unbelievable. The only way that you could get out of this situation would be if you could evacuate vertically. If you could get to a second level somewhere, you might have a chance to be able to survive this level of storm surge flooding. And this is what we are expecting along some parts of the coastline with this tremendous storm. So please, folks, if local officials tell you to get out, you have got to get out.
I'm convinced. Today, the outer bands of the storm started rolling over the Carolina coast. This American flag was flying outside Cape Fear, North Carolina this morning. By midday, it had been ripped to shreds by the wind. Storm surge has already overtaken parts of North Topsail Beach, water gushing into people's homes and down the streets. In Hatteras, North Carolina, this walkway to the beach was completely swallowed up by waves, as you can see. This was a coastline in Swansboro, North Carolina, shortly before sunset tonight. The waves just rolling right up to those homes. Look at this. This was New Bern, North Carolina, around 1:30 p.m. today. Less than 4 hours later, it looked like this. Water completely overtaking that area. You see, big parts of that town are already completely underwater. This used to be a road. Storm chaser clocked the storm surge there to be around 6 feet.